Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Album Spotlight, the show where I put the spotlight on a new album in progressive rock that I think you guys will like if you're fans of the same kind of music as me, and if you've stumbled across my channel, you most likely are. I love giving lesser-known artists the spotlight and showcasing so many great albums to show that prog is alive and vibrant. It didn't die in the 70s. There's still so many great bands out there, so many great albums to check out and enjoy if you want to continue being a fan of this genre for now and into the future. Today I have Beardfish's new album to talk about. The album's called Songs for Beating Hearts. Beardfish was a band that was formed back in 2001 in Sweden. They disbanded for a little short time period recently. They disbanded in 2016. Only to return this year with their new album. So I was pretty heartbroken when they decided to disband, because Beardfish has always been one of my favorite prog bands that I've discovered. They take this cool, quirky balance of like Gentle Giant, Frank Zappa, maybe a little bit of Crimson, but give it this kind of hard classic rock edge like Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple that is a lot of fun. They bring a lot of humor into their music, which keeps it light and fun to listen to, and I think they add kind of that classic prog rock sound, not unlike the greats like Yes and Genesis and ELP. It's all just this really cool stew of variety of influences in the progressive and classic rock genres to create something really new and fresh and interesting, and I just really loved their style. So it was a bummer when they decided to disband, but to see them reunite now, and as strong as they are with this new album, is such a delight to see. So I'm really excited for the band and for their accomplishment here. I got into the band with Sleeping in Traffic Part 1, which came out in 2007. There was a bit of buzz in the prog community about it, so I had to check it out. It was right up my alley, just perfectly in line with my prog tastes. And I was excited about Sleeping in Traffic Part 2, which blew me away even further. A great kind of double disc set, if you will. If you put these two parts together, it just creates this great huge statement in prog that I absolutely love. And then they came out with Destined Solitaire in 2009, which really solidified my love for the band. That's probably my favorite record from them. I think it perfectly encapsulates what they do supremely well. There's some epic moments, there's some humorous moments, there's a lot of quirky playing, a lot of that Gentle Giant sensibility and Frank Zappa-ish sense of humor, all with this really cool classic sound. I love it, and I think this new album is right in line with all of their best releases. Whether it's better or worse, or where it ranks among their discography, is hard to say, because they have a super solid discography. I would recommend every single album they've put out, and they all have a little bit of a different quirk to them. This one has a feeling to me of nostalgia because the band's back together. According to Rickard Soderblom, the reunion for this album became an idea back in 2021, where he had written some songs that kind of felt Beardfishian, so to speak, and so it started sparking those ideas of getting the band back together. So the band got together and jammed out a little bit, played some classic tracks from their discography, and he said it just felt like home. It felt like it was right to continue forward with this group once again and to kind of heal whatever wounds may have been caused in the past, and to just form together as a collective once again to play and craft this incredible progressive rock music. And they're doing a lot of live dates. They've done some festival appearances. They're going to be on the upcoming Cruise to the Edge next year, which I'm excited about. So it's been a really cool time for the band, and to see them reform and to be excited once again to play this great music. The lineup for this album is Rickard Soderblom on vocals and keyboards, David Zackerson on guitars, Robert Hansen on bass, and Magnus Östgren on drums. So it's a fantastic classic core lineup of the band, and the album just showcases the band at their best. It's like a warm hug, It's nothing like breaking the boundaries or doing anything wildly different, or trying to expand what they do into something totally different and special. It's just like they wanted to craft a record that would be familiar and comfortable to their fans, and I think it worked brilliantly well. Every track has something to enjoy and to love about it that takes cues from past history of the band, and I just absolutely love it. It's dripped in nostalgia and was just a welcoming album to get through and listen to, and I've continued to enjoy it. It starts off with a bit of a dreamy, melancholy type song called Ecotone. Beautiful acoustic guitars and persistent beats with Rickard's vocals coming over top. There's some light female backing vocals on this, some great beautiful melodies, and provides a nice gentle opener to kind of lead the listener in. It's reprised later in the album as well for a short 43-second track before it gets into the final stretch. And then there's like a altered different version, at least a bonus track that I have on my version that's like a early 1980s edition that almost sounds like the synth wave video game style with some heavy 80s aesthetic to it. A little bit unnecessary, perhaps unessential, but fun as like a little quirky bonus track, I would say. But really the big star of the show for me is the big multi-part epic called Out in the Open. It's 20 minutes, split up into like 5 different parts, and it showcases what I love about the band. It opens right off with an overture with this cool, nice piano melody before we get into that quirkiness that they're known for. A great bouncy beat, clever proggy keys, a solid bass line. I love the addition of the organ to beef out the sound. And I love when the band just kind of focuses in on that persistent bass line and it gets into almost a jazzier feel. As we move into the next section of Oblivion, it settles into a wonderful groove with some really tasty bass, almost a little bit funky in its aesthetic, but has that band's trademark feel. It's a lot of fun. And has a bit of a bluesier feel, some great piano work, a cool organ solo comes out of nowhere, some cool proggy keyboard interplay and shuffling drums come about 4 minutes into this section. And then we move on to another part of this epic called Hopes and Dreams, which has atmospheric textured keyboard ambiance with some beautiful acoustic guitar playing, really bringing the mood a little bit down with some dreamy soundscapes and nothing too upfront or heavy in this wonderful layered section with some great building harmonies and keyboards. There's a reprise of the Oblivion section, which feels like it brings it back with some more vibrancy and a peppier beat as we continue to morph through these different proggier sections. Wonderful reprises from earlier in the track with some bigger proggier epicness tied to it to bring it to kind of a new level as the track continues forward. And it just continues that way with some prog majesty and some intense drumming, some lighter, jazzier feels, some swirling organ, ending with a bit of a Floydian type atmosphere, leaving this track on a dreamier, more psychedelic note before a bit of an epic, majestic ending to bring it all to a fascinating conclusion. It's a great track with all the signature styles and sounds that you'd expect from the band. The somewhat title track, Beating Hearts, is a fantastic track as well. That I love the opening, which showcases a bit of a Gentle Giant style with this kind of off-kilter classical string quartet style, before we get into a bit more of a heavier feel with great prog instrumentation and a great laid-back groove. We get almost like Genesis 12-string style guitars and a bit of a pastoral feel, and you hear those like Gentle Giant-y strings popping up in the background and returning later in the track as well. And it can get into a bit more of a harder edge classic rock style with some distorted vocals later in the track. And I just love it. It ramps up in intensity and energy as it continues. And you get that Gentle Giant quartet kind of bringing it to a close to round out the track at the end. So a wonderful track, 11 minutes long, that showcases a great side to the band. Some of the quirkier, like Gentle Giant leanings, but also some of the more just straightforward classic rock moments as well. In the Autumn is one of my favorite tracks on the record, honestly. It was the first single, and it has this great like classic rock style riff with proggy undertones. It has this kind of vintage style note to it of like classic rock material. It settles with some fantastic acoustic guitar strumming with other guitars soloing on top of it. The great male-female vocals come in and it makes for a magical listen. Amanda Ortenhag is the vocalist here who's joining Rickard for a duet here, and it's just a perfect balance of their typical progginess, but some more accessible catchiness, and it's just fun to listen to and enjoy as it continues forward. There's some great bluesy guitar soloing bits. It gets into a bit of a quicker beat and focus more on the female vocals towards the end with some proggy guitar interplays. Just a fantastic single and one of the best tracks of the album. And finally, the last main track here is Torrential Downpour, which sadly is about the passing of Rickard's dad, but he approaches it in a sort of therapeutic kind of way, but you can kind of hear this more ominous feeling as it starts with some interesting guitars, a bit of a tribal feel with these pounding drums and almost chanting vocals, and it has this great build-up and a great groove once again. Things open up a bit with some classic guitar soloing and organ. It kind of leans into like a bluesy classic rock sound, not unlike Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple as it continues along. And then it morphs suddenly into this more lighter, proggier feel with some quirky, cool beats and guitar keyboard interplay. I think it's a really cool take on this track, dealing with the loss of his dad, but kind of bringing about a little bit of hope and a little bit of light amongst the storm, so to speak. And we get this kind of big explosion back of full power towards the end, a different take on the main melody and theme, and a wonderful build-up and epic closing, which ends the track in a more triumphant fashion. It's a really great conclusion and ends the album in a fantastic way. So just as you can expect, it's really strong material all the way throughout. Every track has something fun and interesting about it. It just feels like classic Beardfish is back. So we'll see if they continue forward. Hopefully there's more albums in their future, and maybe they'll try to experiment a bit more with future albums where this one feels like they're playing it maybe a little bit safe, but I think that makes sense for a comeback record where they want to just show their fans that they're back, that they haven't abandoned the Beardfish classic sound, and I think they achieved that in spades here, making a wonderful record that just sounds great to my ears and should please most fans of progressive rock, I would imagine. So please check it out. It comes out this Friday. Well worth your ears and attention. One of the premier prog rock bands is back, and that deserves some attention and love. And I hope you guys will check it out. So thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully you appreciate this review, and I'll catch you guys in a future episode, hopefully. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the music.